I'm going to drop 2 videos today. So make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to premiere the other one later on tonight. This topic is going to be about getting tested as a young CO. All right. So I went to the academy in 2006. It turned into 2007, the new year there. And then that's when I touched down at Centinela State Prison. Charlie Yard. Level 3 at the time, and ended up switching to level 4. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I came into the department with a chip on my shoulder, right? As I was 22 years old. 22 years old, I had just came back from Iraq. After 13 months deployment of being in combat every single day and every night. It's not that it was a chip on the shoulder. It was more like, man, I just fucking survived war. I just survived numerous attempts on my life. Like, what is this? This is prison. But let's not get it twisted. Prison's a whole nother world in itself, right? They kind of, those two, you got to know how to operate inside a prison, right? You got to know how to walk, how to talk, and how to. No matter where you go, there's always going to be somebody bigger and badder than you. Just remember that. Be humbled or get humbled. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of how I came in. Not an asshole, right? Not an asshole, but more like I knew in my fucking mind that I had to stand up for myself. That's what I meant. Not. And when you're a new cop, you want to push policy, you want to catch bad guys, we see it all the time, right? We go through that phase. Some people keep it up throughout their whole career, and that's fine. That's their style. Everybody has their own style. And ultimately, that's our job. So it flipped to level 4. The yard flipped to level 4. So there I am, 22 years old, brand new, combat veteran, and level 4 inmates. And they always used to say, oh, man, the state's going to flush the toilet on us. The state's going to flush the toilet. So what that means is that when a new yard is opening, all the other prisons in the state, they're getting rid of their problem children, their problem child inmates, and they're the ones that they're going to send away. That makes sense, right? Instead of keeping them where they're at, causing them headaches, it's just like, hey, just shoot them out. So we were self-eating, right? As incidents. Back then, they used to do lockdowns, okay? Like a year lockdown, several months lockdown. Lockdowns now are non-existent, okay? So it was a steam line. You had the inmate kitchen workers on one side of the steam line, and then staff members holding the big ass tray with like 4 trays on there. And you would walk by, and they would slop the food on there, and then you'd go up, pass out in the cells, and then come back and do it all over again. Well, we started in Charlie 1, right? It goes to housing units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Charlie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So by the time I get to housing Charlie 2, I kind of overheard like a black inmate, kind of big dude, talking shit about me to his homie, right? And it's kind of one of those things where like, what? So fucking, I get the food, I go back, and yeah, I confirmed when he came back, he told his partner, look, this is the dude that doesn't want to get his jumpsuit dirty. Because I was holding it, show you, like, not close to my body, but the tray away, right? And he was assuming I didn't want to get my jumpsuit dirty with food. And I said, it's not that, dude. I'm not trying to get punched in the face. And he's like, oh, well, that's going to happen regardless. And I'm like, well, yeah. This way I have a couple seconds to react. And then he kind of talked shit back and forth. Like I said, I was new, man. So I didn't have that communication skills quite yet. And probably a bright, shiny green uniform and a bright, shiny whistle and a nice, clean haircut. Brand new lunch bag gets a dead giveaway. And I would assume the goal is to test people to see what they're about, to see what you can gain or lose. So I kind of figured it's a done deal there, whatever. I don't know. I didn't really lose my cool at that point. We go to Charlie 3. And he's fucking still talking shit. I can, as I'm coming down, I hear him pointing and seeing, and I'm like, oh, this fucking guy. Right? So Charlie 3. Now we're kind of going to Charlie 4. Right, and clearly this guy has something. He wants to either prove something, test me, or I don't know what the fuck his bright idea was. So we get to Charlie 4, and I stop. I said, "Do you have a fucking problem, dude?" And he's like, "What?" And I said, "What cell are you in?" And the reason I asked him what cell he was in is because I was gonna go after we were done feeding, and I was gonna go to his housing unit, pop him out individually, and confront him. In essence, confront him. I'm not going to say I was going to talk to him because it was going to be pretty clear and obvious what the intentions were going to be, right? I was going to wait till there was nobody else around. I was going to go over there and say, "What's up? What's up now?" Don't do that. You're going to get in trouble. I shouldn't have been doing that then. So I tell the guy, "What cell are you in?" And he's like, "Oh, what? Why don't you ask your lieutenant what cell I'm in?" And I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?" I said, "Really, dude? Like that?" I said something like, "You're going to be a bitch." I said that, right? And he didn't get upset. His friend got upset. Like, "Hey, what the fuck did he just tell you?" And then that dude that was talking shit kind of held him back. And to me, it was over. Like, that's it. Like, you were talking shit. I called you out. Then you, in essence, bitched up and said, "Call my lieutenant." That's a done deal. The following day, the dude comes up to me and says, like, "Hey, so-and-so, I think you were having a bad day yesterday." And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I wasn't having a bad day, man. You were talking shit, and, like, I addressed it." Like, and he goes, yeah, "You're right, man. Like everything's cool." And I was like, yeah, dude, everything's cool. But, like, that's it, right? I mean, that's water under the bridge. And yeah, that right there was a test. And yeah, I ended up seeing the guy in C6. I don't know if he conducted us. Well, I don't know if he ended up in C6 for some reason, right? I gave the dude an extra lunch a couple times just because I had developed that rapport with him, right? It's kind of, you test somebody, you see what they're about, and like, all right, kind of like approval, kind of like, you get my drift. So the second story I'm about to tell you is I was a cop in the building, either Charlie 2 or Charlie 3, right? Level 4s again. Now, I wasn't a by the book, enforce every single solitary policy every single time type of guy. There was days, there was moments, there was times. Not inconsistent, not like one day I'm off the charts, the other day I'm cool, because inmates hate that. Your partners hate that. Nobody likes somebody inconsistent. But more so, if I'm new to the building, okay, let me establish myself. Okay, let me set the program. Let me set the tone, all right? This is who I am, and this is what I'm about, and this is how I operate, right? So, more along those lines. And I probably had just touched down in that building. So, and I never really tripped on the phones, man. If the phones were on, right, because the control booth has access to turn on and off the phones. If they were on and somebody else jumped on it, it wasn't their phone time, I 9 out of 10 times did not sweat it, okay? Unless the inmate was a pain in the ass, unless he was a problem child, unless there was a reason to, right? But for some reason, I think I was establishing myself, and I noticed the guy was on a phone that shouldn't have been a phone call. So I just tell the guy, like, "Hey, dude, that's a wrap. Wrap it up. We're going to cut off the phone. It's not your phone time." Kind of looks back, kind of blows me off. All right, but now by him blowing me off, now that's something else because there's other inmates watching. Am I going to let this guy just blow me off? Am I going to back down? Am I going to cower? Am I going to address it? So I had give him that moment, that time. I didn't tell the person just to cut off the phone. So then I say, "Hey, give the dude 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then cut it off." 5 seconds go by. Enough time to say, "Hey, bye, love you," hang up. The phone cuts off. The dude didn't take advantage of his time when I gave him that opportunity to say bye to whoever he was speaking. The phone cuts off. This dude fucking turns around and says, bitch, you fucking bitch." And I kind of just did this number too, like, oh my God. Here we go. The guy was a Mexican, right? He was, come to find out later, he was, if I say he was a somebody, it means that he had a role, okay? He had a position. He had he was somewhere in that hierarchy, okay? My porter was right there sweeping, and I had a rapport with my porter. My porter was also a Mexican. So me knowing the rules of the game, that if you get involved in an incident with one Hispanic, all the Hispanics are going to jump you. I'm not going to allow myself to get jumped. I'm not going to put myself in a position of disadvantage, right? So he calls me a bitch, loud, right? And fucking as he takes it back to his cell. My partner that day was a female partner. I went to the academy with her. The control booth officer, poor guy, he was on overtime, worked the graveyard shift, got held over into second watch. So he was fucking tired, and my partner was my partner. So I tell the control booth, hey, at yard recall, lock everybody up, and when I tell you to pop that fucking cell, pop that cell. So my porter says, hey, dude, so-and-so, I don't think that's a good idea. You have a bad temper. He has a bad temper. That's not going to end well. And I tell him, hey, man. I call him by his last. I said, lock it up. Like, all right. Fucking goes and locks it up. At that time was yard recall. At that time, the doors came open. All the inmates came in from yard. They didn't know what had happened, right? They didn't know what was transpiring. So all this is in my benefit right now. I am putting the favor in my hands, right? And that's kind of experience, strategy. I'm not dumb, man. I'm trying to survive here, right? So they all lock it up. As soon as they lock it up, my other friend from the academy, an older dude, funny guy, comes in with a mailbag. And I say, oh, dude, you're just in time. Watch this. And he's like already smiling. Like he could tell I was kind of up to something. And I said, don't jump in. I told him that. Told my female partner, don't hit your alarm. And then I told the control booth officer, don't hit your alarm. So, again, don't do this. Do not do this. I took off my belt and I placed it on the podium. And I said, pop the cell. The dude was like up in the upper tier, like 203, 204, 205, up in the upper A section. Those doors, he opened the door when it got popped and he stuck his head out. He stuck his head out and kind of gave me one of these. And I'm already thinking like, the fuck? Like, dude, you know what time this is right now. Oh, mind you, I was standing in the day room now, like kind of in a bladed stance, kind of like, this is what I did to him. I said, get down here. So he fucking kind of hesitantly, and he was a big guy too. These guys are not small. I mean, they do burpees, thousands of burpees a day, you know, and I'm not putting a 10 on the story. I'm not saying he was a fucking 10-foot giant. I'm not saying the dude looked like goddamn Mike Tyson. What I'm saying is the guy was a stocky Hispanic, all right? Comes down, and he's like, what's up? And I'm like, hey, dude, did you call me a bitch? And he's like, nah, CO, I don't get down like that. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm pretty sure you called me a fucking bitch. What's up? Nah, CO, I don't get down like that. I don't disrespect cops. And I'm like, fuck. He's like, hey, man, I was talking to my sister on the phone. She said she wasn't going to come visit me, so I was calling her a bitch. And I'm like, what the fuck? I said, are you serious, dude? Like that? You're going to get down like that? And it was kind of like a standoff, right? Like this dude didn't want it, right? Not that I wanted it. It's that I felt I had to do what I had to do. And he says, why are you barely addressing this right now, man? I said, look around, dude. It's just me and you. I said, he's not going to jump in. And he's like, nah, dude. I don't disrespect CEOs like that. I'm like, take it back to the cell, dude. he takes it back to the cell, right? Now I'm kind of even breathing a sigh of relief right now. Reason being is I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have what happens if we start getting into it and if shit goes horribly south. Guess what I just did? I put two of my partners in a bad position. I put the control booth officer in a bad position. Put my sergeant and lieutenants in a bad position because I can't explain that. What am I going to explain? That I got mad at a guy and I popped him out and challenged him to a fight? That doesn't fucking fly, man. So, yeah, if there's a lesson to be learned, it's they're going to test you. Do not allow yourself to get disrespected, right? But there's ways, there's measures. There's ways, there's measures. And I know that, and that's probably kind of one of the reasons why I left the job is because your hands are tied behind your back. Not that I enjoyed fighting or I like fighting. What I'm trying to tell you is that, like, you can't even fucking establish yourself anymore, man. You can't, which is fucked up. Like, so those are my two stories of getting tested. Did I get tested before or afterwards? Yeah, but the good thing shortly after that is that, like, once they test you so many times, they kind of know who you are and they kind of leave you alone. All right. Yeah. So drop some comments, right? Let me know what you want to hear next, and subscribe. Stay tuned for that premiere video later on tonight. Have a good day.